Okay, so today we're going to learn about business model innovation. So, does anyone know what a business model is?
Business plan,
Um,
business structure.
yeah, it's a business structure. So, business plan may be a different word because that's like the document, but business structure, I like this. What else? What do you think when you hear the word business model? It's
Steps.
correct, it's a structure.
Steps. Step one, step two.
Steps. It could relate to steps.
How do we create a business?
How to create a business. Yeah, I like this. It has to do with the structure and how to create a business. So these are great. Thank you for mentioning that. Okay, so simply, if we want to look at a business model, obviously I'm going to say definitions, but it's more important you look at the representations, right? What I'm going to show you, definitions are not enough. They need examples and, looking at what actually a business model is. We can say it's a representation of how an organization makes or intends to make money. Simply, it's the structure of a business that allows it to make money, or how do you make a business, right? In general, right? But there's a specific way we make a business model, which I'm going to show you. Number one, it describes the rationale of how does an organization create value, deliver value, and then capture value. So what do I even mean by this? Because these are kind of generic terms, right? So this is a business model canvas. It's a tool that's commonly used, by entrepreneurs to show their whole business across these pillars. So there are 9 components. These 9 components, we could say, make up the whole of the business. These 9 components are, customer segments. Who is your customer? Practically, who are you selling to, right? Customer relationship. This one, I'm not going to say it's tricky, but it's more about, these are examples. For example, are you a business that you co-create with your customers? For example, co-creation, you guys, like, who can think of an example of co-creation where you can personalize something? This is co-creation, right? Or you are helping form the product itself. So in this case, it would be like co-creation would be like those stores where you can personalize things because you co-create with it. It's not them just creating it. You actually create with them. Or are you a community-based company, like where you focus on like bringing together community? Are you a company where you're just like automation? Like, I don't know, do you automate things? Like, for example, I have a business I'm still establishing, a startup. We automate marketing. So practically what that means is it will do the marketing for you. It will send emails for you. So automation, this is a type of business. Self-service, is it something? This is funny because it reminds me of like, I don't know, when I was younger, you go to these frozen yogurt stores, it's called self-service. You put the ice cream, you put the things, you scoop it, and then you pay, right? These are self-service businesses. Dedicated personal assistant. Okay, these are just generic terms. There's no right or wrong here. It's more like, you guys, like, what could describe how you deal with your customer? Is your customer just interacting with your business through like transactions, like a bank? And then we would call it like transactional. Like, unless they need service, they need to speak to a person. But like in general, the whole business is just transactional. It's like money in, money out. If that's the case, we call it transactional. You just need to think of any term that describes the relationship between your customer and how they use your product or service. So again, there's no like direct things you need to write. It's more about how you will describe it yourself, right? So does it make sense so far?
Yeah, kind of.
Yes? Any question? No? You sure? Okay. So customer segments, customer relationships. Okay, so we also have something, so you guys, there's an interesting video I'm going to show you after this. It shows you actually how do these all connect. These are all connected. All of these 9 aspects are connected. I'm just explaining what they mean first, and then I'm going to show you a really nice animation that shows you actually how they connect. So the third one, for example, channels. Channels means how do you actually deliver your product or service to the customer. So it can mean these things. How are you reaching the customer? A simple example would be, let's say you have a flower shop and you need to deliver flowers. طيب, the channel would be what? It would be like delivery trucks. I don't know, flower delivery. But it can also mean, channels doesn't only mean physical things. It can also mean like, how do you communicate your idea? It could be marketing channels. Like for example, how do you communicate your idea to the audience? Maybe you use Instagram, maybe you use Facebook ads, right? This is also a channel. What we mean by channel is simply, how do we deliver your product to the customer? In any way, in any form. Delivering it could mean letting them understand it's actually a product, right? Because sometimes you don't know about things until you see an ad, right? Or and it also means, in addition, it also means like, how do you actually deliver it? If it's an app, that's very simple. It's just mobile, right? You don't really deliver it, right? But unless it's a physical product, then you need to understand how are you going to deliver it? The logistics of delivering, right? Then we have value propositions. This simply means, why are you valuable to the customer? Why are you different than other companies? We go back to competitor analysis. Why are you different, right? Why should someone buy you versus another brand? So what problems are you solving for the customer? These things, your main value propositions are it's another word for the main differentiators that differentiate you from other brands of the similar thing. So it's just a differentiator. For example, maybe we are cheaper, higher quality. Maybe we emphasize, I don't know, human connection. Like for example, maybe instead of just transactional, you're like, no, our company differs because we have a team of people who will always help you. I don't know, like you just have to think, why are you different?
So it's like three things: creating, delivering, and capturing value.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Zainab. So delivering, what's the first one you said again? Creating value, which is value proposition.
Yeah, and delivering it to the customer.
Exactly, which is about channel.
You capture value.
Exactly. So these three things, when we deliver, we create value for the customer by having a value proposition. We deliver value through, all of these are interconnected. I'm not gonna say it's like one or the other. This whole, it's a sequence. This whole plan has to do with these three things. It's like more theoretical, right? We want to create value for the customer. If we create value, we have to deliver it, obviously. If we have value, but it's not being delivered to the customer, what's the point, right? Like, let's say you have a valuable product, but you don't have any way to reach people to let them know about it, which is where marketing is important. Then what's the point of having a valuable product, right? Creating value, delivering value, and capturing value. More like, we want to ensure that we capture the most value out of every other company. So let's continue here. Key resources, this is very simple. What do you need to create your business? For example, maybe you need supplies, construction. Maybe you need an app developer. Like, these are things like, what do you need? Key activities, what things do you need to do to make the business come to life? For example, if you're making an app, you need app development as a key activity. If you're creating a construction company, a key activity would be like, construction, maybe logistics of transporting workers. I don't know. Construction, creating at the construction site. Like, what kind of things? Think about, if your business is running, what types of things are going to happen and what do you need? So this is what key activity and key resource is. A key resource is used in a key activity. So if I need an app developer, that means my key activity would probably be someone coding my app, right? If I need a key resource of, let's say, construction supplies, that means my key activity would be construction activities, like the actual construction itself. So this is just related in that way. Key partners, this is very important. Who should you collaborate with to get your idea to life? For example, if you're manufacturing something, where is the masna'? Where is the manufacturer, right? You need a manufacturer, right? If it's digital, a key partner would then be, key partners also can mean partnerships with people. For example, like maybe you have a health app and you want to collaborate with Dubai Health Authority. This is an example of a key partner, right? So I want you to think, when you do this for the final project, if your key partner is not very clear because you're more a digital product or something, let's say you don't need a manufacturer or something. Like, let's say you can't think of a key partner in terms of like, like a manufacturer, these kind of things. Think of key partners in terms of actual companies or people you could collaborate with. For example, let's say you're creating a health app, maybe you want to collaborate with Dubai Health Authority. If you're creating a transportation solution in the UAE, you might put a key partner as the RTA, right? The transportation solutions in Dubai. So I want you to think of actual companies who you might partner with. Just to give it, because I want you to think of this in real life, right? So don't just say, for example, like, transportation facility. Like, what does that mean, right? So like, be a little more specific, and don't just say like university. Tell me a name of a university, right? Make this as if it's your actual business and people you truly would collaborate with. We're almost at the end, you guys. So cost structure. This is important. What is the difference between a cost structure and a revenue stream? So these are terms we have. Number one, let's talk about revenue stream. You guys, when you see the word revenue, revenue means making money. Okay, so we have a difference. I'm gonna show you. Difference between profit and revenue. So here we have, I like this one a little more. Let me try to find you a good one. Okay, so what I want you to know is that revenue is so revenue is practically
Everything the company takes, but profit is based only the
Mhm.
the amount that is like taken from like pure money.
Exactly.
After they already use some of it, because like the revenue they already use it for like salary,
Yeah.
the employee's salary, the product itself
Yeah.
costs money, but profit is the amount of money that they actually gain,
Yeah.
and like it's like extra.
Thank you, exactly. So I want to explain this more in I think there's a whiteboard. What is it called on Mac, you guys? There's some whiteboard thing. I thought there
Yeah, no.
the Mac has a new, I want to find you so I can write, because if I open good notes, the recording is gonna end. Let me see here. Maybe notes? Not notes, something to draw on. Hone. Free form. Okay. Free form. Okay, good. It's still recording? Good. Okay. So I want to give you example. I should have brought my writing stuff. I can't write on the computer very well now, but I'll just give you example. Where is the drawing? I don't want a sticky note. Okay, let's see. كيف أنا أكتب هون؟ Oh, it doesn't let you write. Okay. That's unusual. طيب, I'll write with sticky notes then, just to give you an idea. Okay. So, I don't know, this is not an actual whiteboard, but let me just open here. Let me check good notes. I do have an example from last semester. Give me 1 minute, you guys. About profit. Let me see. Profit versus revenue. Nope, I don't think it's here. You guys are seeing my old things from my master. Okay, it's fine. Let me explain it this way. Let's say I have all of these things. Let's say I'm making, someone give me any business. Any business. Someone selling what? Perfume. Okay, طيب. So let's take a perfume business for example. For perfume, what do I need to actually create a perfume business? I need perfume bottles. I need perfume itself. I need a manufacturer
That fills the bottles and mix the scents together to make the one.
Maybe I need like a scientific team. I don't know. Not maybe like a lab. right? I need a lab to create the scents.
People who can test it.
Yeah, great.
Scientists who can test it.
Lab to create the scents.
You need to make sure that people will like this.
Exactly. And then what else do you think we need, you guys, in a perfume business? Huh? شو هو؟
Doctor, they mix it with the scent.
Yeah.
It's not fully like.
Oh, you mean the alcohol manufacturer? Okay, that's true. So the alcohol manufacturer for the perfume would probably need to
It would be a partnership with a company that already manufactures.
partners with lab. Okay, let's say we're making an example. What else do you need for a perfume business? How do you deliver it? Hmm?
A page, like social media,
Social media, right?
Instagram, TikTok,
This is great. Okay, so
website.
website. But let's say all marketing assets. Okay, so let's not go into depth right now. Right now, this would be good if we were filling this out. But right now, I'm just trying to give you a simple example of the difference between profit and revenue. Okay, so here. Okay, we have all this. طيب. Let's say in year 1 of my business, of perfume business, I made like, I don't know, 60,000 dirham. Okay? Let's say I made this much money, 60,000 dirham. Okay? So this is called, you guys, as we're seeing the difference, this is called revenue. Why is it called revenue? Because there's a difference between profit. I'm gonna show you the difference now. This is called revenue. This is how much money you made. Let's say you made the perfumes and you generated 60,000 dirham the first year. Okay, but you guys, you didn't consider yet everything you paid for, right? So in order to understand what profit is, we need to put profit here. This is revenue, but I'm going to put a minus sign here. Sorry, not an equal sign. A minus sign here. I need to subtract all of the costs that I had here. Okay? So I'm gonna put here, let's say this was, I don't know, 10,000 dirham. Okay, let's say this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I'll give you a good example. Okay, so let's say we had here, these are 6 things we had to pay for. So I'm gonna show you a point here. So you have revenue, year 1 is 60,000 dirham. But I need to subtract how much I paid for the things, right? Like I had to pay for the marketing, I had to pay for the perfume bottles, I had to pay for the manufacturer, I had to pay for the perfume itself, I had to pay for the lab, the people in the lab, right? So all this together, it actually 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, that was 60,000 dirham, right? So let me put here total 60,000 dirham. So how much money do I have left, you guys? Someone tell me. But someone who I haven't heard from yet. $60,000 minus 60,000 equals nothing. صفر, 0, right? طيب, that means my profit was 0 dirham. That means I didn't really make money. So you guys, revenue is the money you make in the it's the whole amount you generated without considering the things you had to pay for. Profit is the actual money you're making because it's the money you made subtracting the costs. Okay? So what we call this, you guys, is generally most businesses, they don't actually make profit the first year because many businesses, it's just hard to, you have to, it's known that usually the first year or first 2 years, you're usually in the negatives until you become high, right? Of course, with the new AI revolution, actually things are many changing. People are becoming profitable really quickly because of the AI-powered revolution. Actually, there was a talk about this, which I want to show you on my LinkedIn. There was this talk before. Let me find it for you because it's really, really great from last semester. I'm gonna show you why this is happening. And then we're gonna, let me go to images and go to this one. This talk, this man, he's Hoi Troy. So I think I'm not saying his name correctly, but let's see. Building high-performing organizations in the age of AI. He talked about how, let's go down here. Is this the correct one? It is correct one. AI-powered companies are now achieving with 3 people in 1 year what traditionally required 100 people over 10 years. Why? For example, Cursor, you guys, is an AI company that they do coding, like agentic coding. It codes for you. Cursor reached $3 million in revenue per employee in 18 to 20 months after launch, just 18 to 20 months after launch. While Slack, another company from before, it took 4.5 years to reach 250,000 per employee. Why? Because it has to do with AI is becoming cheaper, better, faster. It's letting people differentiate faster. It's enhancing the workflow of professionals. And overall, it's being used in ways that are like making the operations much faster if you have professionals, right? If professionals are already there and you have AI to augment them, then it's becoming faster. So this is what I'm talking about. Why is this related? Because it has to do with the fact that people now in companies, they're actually making profit faster, right? Because of the new, AI revolution. But what I want to get here, you guys, actually, this has a term. So we call this the moment that a company or your business starts to make money, starts to make actual profit, which means you actually are in the positives. You have money, actual money. We call this the breakthrough point. So if we go here, it's an inflection point. Sorry. Why is it not showing up? Or am I calling it the right name? 1 minute, you guys. Sorry. I am seeming I don't have enough coffee. It's called the break-even point, you guys. I think I'm being too positive. Breakthrough! That's why it wasn't showing up. Okay, please forgive me. Break-even point, you guys. Don't memorize the first one. That was me not with coffee. Anyway, break-even point. This is called the break-even point the second you make money. So let's say, I'm going to say here, this is year 1, okay? This is year 1. Let's say this is year 1. I'm going to copy paste this now. Let's say now the next year I make 80,000 dirham and I have the same costs. Let's say I have it's not really logical to have the same cost every year unless it's a fixed cost. Total 70,000 dirham. So let's say my profit is 80 minus 70, 10,000 dirham. Year 1, my profit is actually 10,000 dirham. This is the break-even point. The break-even point, this is from finance, you guys. The break-even point is the point where you start making actual profit. And actually, if you're a finance major, I don't think any of you are a finance major, you actually have to calculate this. So they give you scenarios and they give you cost breakdowns. And so if you're in a finance class, you'll have to keep calculating the break-even point, right? So a break-even point, again, so let's say year 1, I have 60,000 dirham. It cost me 60,000 dirham. I don't actually have money. The profit is 0 dirham. If in year 2, sorry, I'm going to put year 2 here, I make 80,000 dirham, but it cost me 70,000. That means my profit, I am making money now, is 10,000 dirham. That means I had a break-even point in year 2. That means, so we would say when a company says, we broke even in year 2, it means that they started making actual money or actual profit in year 2 of their business. Okay? Is there any question about this? No? Okay, so why am I giving you this short finance lesson, you guys? Because this has to do with a cost structure and revenue stream. So actually you already learned some of the finance we were going to learn in the next couple classes. A cost structure means what are the things that cost you money? These are the things that we said we need to pay for, right? So for example, cost structure, if I was using this example, I could just put all these things we just put. These are the things that cost me money. Whereas a revenue stream, you guys, a revenue stream is, think of a stream like, you know, a stream of what's giving you the money. What is actually giving you the money? A revenue stream is how are you making money? Meaning, for example, Netflix is making money through what? Online subscriptions, right? So this is a revenue stream. Your company might have different revenue streams. Netflix could be making money from ads as one revenue stream. The online, the subscription based as a revenue stream. They could even be making money through partnerships, right? So these are all revenue streams. The revenue stream is anything that's giving you the money, right? So when we go into, again, finance, a revenue stream is like what's giving you the money. Cost structure is what's causing the money. Not causing the money, that's not good English, guys, sorry. Not causing the money, that's not really logical. What I mean is, cost structure is exactly what are you paying for to run a business, okay? I also want to give you something, because I think it's more useful right now than waiting for the finance class that we're going to have.
The app we're gonna find this information from.
Huh?
الأب أو الويب سايت اللي هنلاقي منه هاي المعلومات.
I like this question. So هلا I'll show you. Okay? هلا the finance, هلا I don't want you to worry right now about finding the information.
Finance is like really something we can.
No, you're not gonna do full on finance. No, of course not. No, you guys, the class, of course, I'm giving you the introduction to entrepreneurship. You're not required to do like actual financial analysis, right? Because that's out of the scope, unless you're a finance major, right? I'm not gonna put you through finance class, right? So, what I mean is that you're gonna have simple things to know. What I'm teaching you now is the basics that I just want you to have in mind, right? So, the last thing I want to mention here is that I'm gonna copy paste this. I'm gonna have something like, I'm gonna create some expenses. I'm gonna be more detailed now, and I want to show you the difference between, we have two types of expenses when you pay for something. We have something called a fixed cost and a variable cost. I want to show you what this means. So let's say I have rent of the lab space, and let me give you just 3 so that we don't overcomplicate it. So let's say we have rent of the lab space. Let's say electricity and water bill of the lab space. Salary of lab workers, perfume lab employees, and then perfume bottles from the manufacturer. Okay, now you'll see where I'm going with this. So rent of the lab space, perfume bottles, or actually let's put this here. So rent of the lab space, salary, and then yeah, this is enough. Okay, let's take these examples. I want you to think of these. Let me see if I can change the color. Yeah, I can. Okay, great. Neon in the morning. Sorry, I don't want to blind anyone in this class. In the morning. Okay, let's get started. So, this is just too neon. It's causing my eyes burning. Okay, so let me go here. We're not gonna put revenue, obviously. Okay, I want you to think of when you run a business. Let's say you're gonna run a business, or if you have a business, think of your own business. You have to pay for things, right? You have to pay for running things. Number one and number two, we have something called a fixed cost and we have something called a variable cost. Both of these costs, they're costing you money. You have to pay for it, right? So they're being subtracted from your revenue. Your revenue minus how much you pay for stuff equals profit. So, but there are different types of costs. A fixed cost is something that does not change from month to month. Okay, so for example, no matter what I do in the lab space, even if the employees are not as productive one day or the other, I'm still going to pay, let's say, 20,000 dirham per month just to rent the space. It's not going to change. This is the set price per month, let's say. Salary of the perfume lab employees, let's say this is not going to change month to month. Okay, let's say, I don't know, like 30,000 per employer or something per lab per lab employee. Let's say this is fixed. It's not going to change. Okay? This is called a fixed cost because from month to month, whatever you do, whatever happens, the cost is not going to change. Whereas we do have something you guys called a variable cost. A variable cost means it does change. It depends on something. So for example, the electricity bill and the water bill of the lab space will change because it depends how much water the lab is using, how much electricity per month. It's not going to be the same every month. Maybe one month they use high electricity. Maybe another month there was a vacation, so it's like half the price, right? So this is called a variable because it changes. Variable just means changes. Perfume bottles from the manufacturer. This depends on the demand, right? Maybe one month I have 1 million people wanting perfume bottles, so I order like 1 million from the manufacturer. Whereas another month, let's say it's not going that well, and I need 500,000. So that means I'm not gonna order overstock from the manufacturer. I'm gonna order 500,000. So how much you pay for those depend on the month. It depends, it changes every month. So we call these variable costs. The difference is they're all costs. They all cost you money. They're all gonna be subtracted from the monthly revenue you made. But we differentiate them because one is a fixed cost, it will never change, and the other one is a variable cost, it depends from month to month. And this is just in the basics of finance. We call it a fixed cost versus a variable cost. Does the difference make sense? Okay, so this is not, it is important, but again, for this type of this type of canvas, it's not important to differentiate right now. You just need to list all the costs you have. But when we get to finance, and you actually will, I will teach you, obviously, also using AI, how to create a financial statement. You need to understand the difference between a fixed cost and a variable cost. Okay, does all of this make sense? Is there any question? No? Okay. So what I want you to do today, I'm going to show you an example of someone filling this out for you to 2 videos. The first one, I promised to show you how the 9 components connect. And then I'm going to show you an example very clear, because we all know about Nespresso, for example, right? So Nespresso, this example is very good. It's very clear about how he actually fills it out. So let me cover this first. Did we cover every one of them? Are there any questions on these components? Is there any component that's not very clear? I'll give you a minute to look at them again. The joke of the day is that I said breakthrough. It's break even. Don't follow my words. Don't go telling the finance instructor.
Can you explain customer segments or what happens?
Yes, customer segments. It's just who's your customer. For example, if you're, do you have your final project idea, your business idea? What is it?
يعني تقريبا.
شو هو
Remember what I was telling you, the application as AI assisted helps perform car parts and
car parts. So it helps. So your customer segment would be like, could it be car manufacturers, or would it be like car sellers?
it's like second hand sale, you can say.
And who would be buying this stuff?
Anyone with a car, anyone that wants to maintain or upgrade their car. Anyone that wants to maintain or upgrade their car.
So personally, like a person. Could it also be sold to the car companies themselves or no?
It could be, yes.
So your customer segments could be car companies. It could be simply, we could say people interested in maintaining their car. So we wouldn't say like, it's better not to say everyone with a car, right? Because like for me, I'm not gonna go, I don't know how to do my car, right? So we wouldn't say everyone with a car. This is like not hyperbole of target market, so we don't want to say that. But you would just explain like in simple terms who would use this mainly. People interested in fixing their own cars, or car companies, or car part sellers, maybe, right? So these could be 3 different customer segments. You could put sticky notes. What we do usually, guys, what I want you to do is, let me show you how to fill this out before I show you the example. I'm gonna attach this here. What we do is, using the Canva I gave you in your business plan template, I give you I give you a sheet that it looks like this. You can press it and then you can start adding sticky notes to it. So I give you example. I'm gonna copy paste a sticky note. What it would look like if I was doing this is like, let's use the perfume example. Customer segment, people who buy perfume. We're being very simple right now. Obviously, when you do the target market in your business plan, it's more specific. And if you missed that lesson, please go back to it. But for this purpose, we're just being very simple, right? But of course, the customer segment, when we go to who's the target market, you have to be a little more specific when you write about it. But for now, we're just gonna use like very simple terms, because this is more, you're not gonna write huge sentences or anything. This is like a sticky note activity, right? So people who buy perfume, perfume sellers. Then I'll maybe, for customer relationship, it's gonna be like, let's think, when someone buys perfume, it's more about
Personal care.
but then how does the company communicate their value? Like, how do they relate to you? I think it's more, what did you say?
So
Personal care. But that's like the value of it, but not, we're talking about how does the customer actually interact with the company. Let's say I'm selling it depends how you sell the perfume in this case, in this example. Like, if it's an online, then it's just gonna be like online and transactional, because I'm not showing people their perfume. It's more, but let's say you go to the mall and you know people are trying to put perfume on you. I guarantee all of you this happened to you. Please come take perfume. I'm like, no, shukran, bye. they all drive me crazy, where they're trying to get perfume on you because they want to sell. Then that could be like, yeah, obviously I'm not gonna put like nosy people as the customer relationship, right? But I'm gonna put like, for example, in person, not trial, but like in-person testing of perfumes, and maybe it's more based off of customer preference in person. Like, obviously, like I said, you don't need to have there's no correct term. It's like how you describe it yourself. So I'm not gonna fill this all out because I want to show you the Nespresso example.
how do we use it from the Canva?
That's a good question.
Like a link.
I'll show you after this, okay? So these 9 components, you guys, they actually cover these 4 things. They cover the customers, what you offer, what is your infrastructure of the business, and what is your financial ability to sustain the business. So these 4 things, they sum up the whole canvas. And these 4 things, they sum up your whole business, right? Because a business essentially is how do you serve a customer? What do you offer that's different than others? How do you maintain your business, right? Because you need an infrastructure. You can't just like sell things without any knowledge of what you're doing, right? And then your financial ability is important. Does anyone remember what we call financial ability? We have 3 terms. I'll give you a hint. We have something called feasibility, viability, and desirability. So which one is financial? What does financials have to do with? It's one of them. No, not this one. Guess again. Not this one. So what's the one left?
I forgot.
Viability. Yeah. So viability means it's actually going to generate profit. Again, not revenue, because revenue, anyone can make revenue, right? I mean, not anyone, but like you need to sell stuff, get money, but you need to make profit, right? To be sustainably, you need to make profit to sustain your finance and to ensure you can keep running the business. That's viability. You guys, what is feasibility? Feasibility means that you can actually it's actually possible to make the business. For example, is it actually feasible for me to go and get manufacturers from perfumes and all these things? Like, is it actually possible? Is it possible the way I'm making the perfume? Will it be able to be transported ideally? Right? Like these things, is it feasible? Are you actually able to do the thing? Right? So for example, some things are more mechanical in nature, like engineering things. Someone might have an idea, like I have an idea, for example, something about technology, but I don't know if it's actually possible to make unless I consult like someone in this field, right? So this would be, I need to check if it's feasible. Does it make sense? And then that's feasible. Viable, we said, is financial. Like, is it making profit? And then, what's the last one? Desirability. Do people actually need your product? It's not enough usually just to want your product, unless it's so amazing, right? People need to need it. Like, nobody's gonna just give you their money if they don't actually need your solution, right? You need to make sure that it's such an impactful solution, they need your product. And they will only go to you, right? So you need to create solutions very valuable and very different than others, targeting a certain target market. It makes it that you know this solution will be the most valuable for them. And how do you do this? You can't do this unless you talk to people in person, right? Unless you actually test in person. So these are the difference between the 3. But again, the whole business model has to do with these 4 components. Any questions so far? Okay, why is it important? It's like a shared language, you guys. You know, like the coding people, anyone know who you're coding? They be talking in like Python, right? I'm joking, but you know, they know how to talk in these languages, right? It's like this. Someone who looks at a business model, you will understand the connection. So, the last 2 things, I'm gonna show you first how these connect. This is a really nice animation from the creator of this business model idea, and then the example. Okay. So today's lecture was a little longer because this one is a little more, not complicated, but a little more in depth than the other topics. Okay.
An organization's business model can be described with 9 basic building blocks: your customer segments, your value proposition for each segment, the channels to reach customers, customer relationships you establish, the revenue streams you generate, the key resources and key activities you require to create value, the key partners, and the cost structure of the business model. But it's not sufficient to just enumerate the 9 building blocks. What you really want to do is to map them out on a pre-structured canvas. This is what we call the business model canvas. a tool that helps you map, discuss, design, and invent new business models. Let's briefly go through the 9 building blocks, starting with the customer segments. These are all the people or organizations for which you're creating value. This includes simple users and paying customers. For each segment, you have a specific value proposition. These are the bundles of products and services that create value for your customers. The channels describe through which touchpoints you're interacting with customers and delivering value. The customer relationships outline the type of relationship you're establishing with your customers. The revenue streams make clear how and through which pricing mechanisms your business model is capturing value. Then you need to describe the infrastructure to create, deliver, and capture value. The key resources show which assets are indispensable in your business model. The key activities show which things you really need to be able to perform well. The key partners show who can help you leverage your business model, since you won't own all key resources yourself, nor you perform all key activities. Then once you understand your business model's infrastructure, you'll also have an idea of its cost structure. So with the business model canvas, you can map out your entire business model in one image. This works for startup entrepreneurs just as well as for the most senior executives.
So that is a nice animation of it. Let's look at a real life example about Nespresso. Okay, so this is just a picture, again, of the same idea. The last thing, and this is last thing today, I promise you, will be Nespresso. Can you hear from the back?
Okay, as a first example, let's define the business model of Nespresso. What's the value proposition of Nespresso? Is to offer the best coffee at home, as good as the coffee in the best cafe in Roma. That's the idea. And this value proposition consists of mainly of 2 different products. The first one is the Nespresso machine, the other one are the capsules. They have 2 different distribution strategies for reaching the customers. First, for the machines, they use the retailers for reaching the households and eventually the businesses. And this generates a revenue coming from the machine sales. But most of this revenue goes directly to the machine manufacturers, which are key partners for Nespresso since the beginning. For the Nespresso capsules, the story is a little bit different. They use their own channels. They use the mail order for reaching the customers, or the website, or you can also find now, much more recently, the Nespresso stores that you have in most of the big cities in the world. And those channels is a key resource for Nespresso because they have this ability to reach the customers through those direct distribution channels. When you bought a machine, you have to come back to Nespresso for buying the capsule. So it means that you have a kind of lock-in strategy if you want. So it means it's much more difficult for you to change your company if you want to buy those capsules, because you have to buy the capsules of Nespresso to put those capsules in the machines. And you can reinforce this using, for example, the Nespresso Club for keeping the relationship with the customers. And you can have this kind of strategy because also you have on your resource size the patterns. And based on this, you have the repetitive sales coming from those capsules, which is the main revenue for Nespresso. This is for the right-hand side, the value side of the business model. On the left-hand side, means on the backstage, if you want, you have different resources and activities. One of them is the coffee. You can reach the coffee, and so it means that you have some partnership with the coffee growers, which is normal for the Nestlé business. And when you buy those coffee, you have to put that inside the capsules. So it means that Nespresso want to keep this manufacturing activity. So it means you have one of the main key activities, which is the production, and they have the production facilities able to produce millions of capsules per day. And it has a cost. You have some other activities which is related to the marketing and branding activity and branding resources, which has a cost. And the last activity is the distribution or the logistics, because you have to reach those customers with this direct distribution. So it means that you have the third activity, which is the distribution activity, which has a cost, which is the cost related to this logistics activity. This is the business model of Nespresso.
So guys, as you see, this business model includes, he's using orange and yellow because he's talking about the business model includes two different things, right? An espresso machine and an espresso pod. We could actually, he could have done it like two different business canvas, right? But it doesn't really make sense because it's the same company, right? So he's trying to show like the whole company is based off these two different products, and this is the yellow is for the Nespresso machine, and the pods are for is the orange one. So this is a good example showing you. It makes you realize all the components of a business, right? It makes you more critical in thinking. This whole topic is very important because actually there's a book I recommend. I have in my office if you want to borrow it or look at it. It's called Business Model Creation or Value book. I have this book, Business Model Generation. So it's a very good book. It shows you, it's a huge book. It's about the best business models of the largest companies and the most successful companies. Because the most successful companies and the most successful, businesses, they have a very strategic way of creating their business model to create the most value. So this is all almost like the science of business model creation, right? So it's about how do you create the best combination of these 9 components to make a really strong business ecosystem for your own business. It's almost like that. So does it make sense? Are there any questions about it? That was the last thing for today. Thank you for all staying. There's another example if you want to look at home about Amazon Prime. That's also an example. And that is our focus for today. Any questions?